Good evening, it's Kinninigan. Please share, like, subscribe. If you could support my channel, I would greatly appreciate it. I do not put ads on my videos, and every little bit helps. I always need cat food, litter, cigarettes. So anyway, no surprise. I had mentioned last week in a rant video that it appears that they were going after content creators on YouTube. Not just any content creators, anyone who doesn't quote unquote toe the line. So yeah, now the quartering just came out with this video that they just banned a bunch of content creators, and this content creator was saying something about the situation in Ohio. All right. Long story short, I saw this coming. They're not. They're. If you have a big voice on YouTube and you don't toe the line, you're not a socialist. You're not into the message. They're coming for you. And they've been doing it to weird YouTube channels. Uh, Linus Tech Tips. I'm sorry. Um, he makes videos about computer stuff, and he got a community guideline strike recently. Interesting. And it was over some type of video he made about apps that you can use on your phone to bypass video like advertisements here at YouTube. Apparently, you're not allowed to use ad blockers or anything, but they never gave people community guideline strikes over that. And they just gave him one. And then you heard about Tim Pool and a few other people accused of being Russian assets, wanting to be interviewed by the FBI, and now the quarter, and they're probably looking at you too, dude. You got 1.75 million subs, and he's got to be real careful what he says. Also, you had Lucasfilm, well, the shills from Lucasfilm try to attack a bunch of big content creators here at YouTube, the Nerdrotic, the Critical Drinker. It was under the guise because they were spreading hate and disinformation because it was their fault the acolyte got canceled. So here is the mood. Here's what's going on right now. All the DEI and woke stuff is failing, obviously. All their movies, all their video games, all their little DEI projects. So what these people will not go quietly into the night. And sadly, they're going to be very vindictive now. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy from the regime, but believe me, there's going to be a lot of people striking videos out there who do not agree with what you say. And it's no coincidence that we're coming up to November 5th. And of course, they want to silence people by then because I'm having a very bad feeling about the next 2 months. That's all I'm saying. So, in a positive light, I'd like to talk about something positive here. I'm kind of under the radar. We talk about lizard people here, so they're not. As long as I don't talk about politics, right? Um, Speaking of financial situations, like I said, I'm being on my 10th YouTube channel. I'm never doing good financially. Thank God, we do get we get an AdSense payout this month. That's only because you have to hit $100 to get a payout. We didn't hit it last month. It was like $90. We were $10 away. However, I did hit it this month, so I'll get that on the 21st, which is awesome. Because every little bit helps. And so I had mentioned to people a few times before. One, I'm very creative, and one of my newest endeavors, I'm writing a book, yes, about reptilians, but that is a separate nonfiction. I say it's nonfiction. They can technically, I believe my book about reptilians is going to be labeled as New Age, whether I like it or not. But I'm working on that. However, I had mentioned to people that I'm highly creative. And talking about all this woke and DEI stuff, it's given me a lot of ideas because I'm highly creative. I wanted to start with writing some short stories, specifically writing some short stories that take place in a world I made up known as Maldek that I would like to write like an epic science fiction kind of fantasy novel about, and I can. And So I wanted to start off by writing some short stories, and I thought of a short story, and I'm going to write it. And I think it'd be pretty cool to read it to you when I'm done. But it's not that I'm just doing it out of vain. I found a whole bunch of contests. So not only could I write short stories, there are contests that I could enter into. There's yeah, I found a few of them here. There is a quite a few. This is just one website here. Some of them $2,000. Top prize $2,500. $500. Not bad. And the other thing is too, Hollywood. There's going to be a real big void in Hollywood for quote unquote creative ideas. I'm not talking about rehashed IPs, not remaking something like Beetlejuice. I didn't see the new one, but I know they just remade that of all things. I'm talking about new original works, and I have a very good idea in my head about this world that I've kind of made up on Maldeck, involving, you can call them the Atlanteans, the native Terran reptilians, what else might be living on the planet at that time. So I have this idea for a short story that I'm going to write, and it's going to take place in modern times. I'll give you an idea here. It's going to take place in modern times, but when I say modern times, think about the late 1940s, right after World War II, in the South Pacific. It's going to involve two researchers, and they have a team research vessel there, and they're there to investigate some ancient ruins that maybe. So I did all the world building in my head and all this. I already got like the names of the characters, and I even have it broken down into how many scenes are going to be in my short story. I'm thinking in terms of scenes now, and I've been studying how George R. R. Martin. I'm reading Game of Thrones right now. And if you have read Game of Thrones, you're familiar that every one of his POV chapters is written like a mini short story. And it's comprised of multiple scenes, and it's through the POV of one character. And so I've been kind of like studying that. And so I could tell the story in about 7 scenes. 7 scenes. No, and it involves them finding some ancient ruins. That's all I'm going to say. And the consequences of finding those said ancient ruins. Part of my inspiration for this was, has anyone ever heard of the Egyptian ruins that were found in the Grand Canyon? And now they've closed it off. The public can't go there, nothing to see here. There was also rumors that they found a Roman temple to Diana on the North American coast. That was the rumor, but it was destroyed because for obvious reasons. Supposedly, nobody was here in the New World. Although they have found they have found cuneiform, which is the language of the Anunnaki, in Australia of all places, in petroglyphs. They try to cover that up, so they wanted to make it seem like there wasn't no international trade going on in the ancient world. However, you do know that a lot of the Egyptian mummies were found to have cocaine residue on them, and that only comes from South America. And the other inspiration for my short story is there are a lot of ruins in the South Pacific that is ancient Lemuria. Some of them we learn about, the most famous being Easter Island. And my story takes place not far, well, South Pacific's big, but it's you get the idea. It's on an island. They discover something. There's something that happens. Then they discover something else, and that's kind of like when okay. Uh, so I'm gonna write this short story. It's something I'm doing in my free time, and it's something that hopefully when I'm done as an artist, I used to get a lot of joy, like when I would do a piece of art and sharing it with people afterwards. That's kind of the joy I'm looking for. When I used to be a rave DJ, I I would DJ for free because of just the dopamine I would get from making people dance and entertaining people. Uh, so I think another way for me to reach out creatively to the world, and this is good for me, midlife, not a midlife crisis, but you get the idea. It's a mean for me to express myself, and with all the knowledge that I have of ancient mythology and the occult, I believe I can add a level of realism to these short stories that a lot of people can't, and that makes for good storytelling. So I have some subs of mine. They asked if they I'll send you an email, Kalina, if you're listening. She said if I wrote a short story, she would be happy to read them for me. We might do that if I need after I write it. Uh, so I'm gonna do that in my free time. I also want to write a spooky story for Halloween, a real good like. And who knows? Maybe my short stories get picked up by someone in Hollywood because all their DEI and woke shit. The woke writers are out of work right now. They're going to be hungry for creative new IPs and ideas that can, you know, and if you know anything about Hollywood, they plagiarize heavily from written works, specifically short stories, because they're easier to read. So who knows? And yeah, I'm going to write a short story and some of the obviously I think you get the idea. Some of the ruins that are going to be found in this short story go back to Maldek, and it's quite interesting. I have all the world building kind of worked out for this, and so yeah, making a video for the algorithm today. I also yes, I still and this will also be a good exercise for me in writing. Helps with writing my book about reptilians. The problem with writing a nonfiction book about the reptilian things, it's not really a creative piece of work. It's more like info dumps, right? So it's a little tedious, but just writing anyway should help. Let's get some ideas for some islands here. Islands in the South Pacific. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things going on in the South Pacific. So, like I said, I had an idea for the name of the short story, but I thought it might ruin too much of the story, so I don't know. I might change the title. So I don't have a working title yet, but I could tell the story in around 7 scenes. According to the mainstream, your scenes in a book should be around 750 words. That's give or take. I mean, it's so yeah. A short story can't be more than 10,000 words. Once you're between 10,000 and 25,000 words, that's novella territory. It's a little long. So, and after I write the short stories, I can enter some contests. And I do want to write some short stories that take place in the world of Maldek. That's what Andrew Sapkowski did before he wrote The Witcher. He wrote short stories that take place in that world as he was building it. You get the idea. Except what's interesting in my story about Maldek, that story will be told through the POV of there's no humans on Maldek. There's no modern day humans on Maldek. So I've got to tell the story through POV of other entities, and I think I worked out how to do it. So I've been doing some world building for my. I've been thinking about all kinds of crazy things. I'm talking about rituals in everyday life of native Terran reptilians in Maldek. What the Atlanteans would be like, what they were doing, what other life forms would have been on the planet. What about the aquatic life forms they're written about in the Hindu epics? I'll give you a clue about the short story I'm writing. There's a reason why it takes place on an island in the South Pacific. Okay. And the name of the research vessel that they take there is going to be called the Calypso. So, how you like that? See, I'm very. That's the other thing. I can infuse a lot of symbolism into my writing. So, if you know who Calypso, I'll make a video about Calypso in the future. She's a Greek sea goddess. Yeah, I say it takes place in modern times. Yeah, the late 1940s. Yeah, that is modern compared to when Maldek takes place. So, so yeah, the quartering. I saw this. They're listen. They've gone in the past few weeks. A lot of channels have gotten community guidelines taken down. I think it'd be a good time right now just to be apolitical. I'm not losing another YouTube channel. Just saying. We talk about lizard people and science fiction stories. Although my science fiction might be based on reality, that could be the edge that propels my story ahead. And unlike other fantasy and science fiction, I'm not borrowing tropes from Tolkien. There's no elves in my story. There might be dragons, but not in the sense you're thinking. Draco might be an important word, referring to the Alpha Draconian star system. And I guess you can call it magic. Remember, magic is just science that you can't understand. But there's different types of magic. There are those who do it with the invocation of demons. That's what I want to write for Halloween. I want to write. I thought about writing a short story about someone summoning a reptilian in an occult ritual. Why not? I could add some realism to it. I thought that would be a pretty. Who knows? It could be the short story from my book when the Atlantean first did a blood ritual and summoned a reptilian. Supposedly that's what happened in the Emerald Tablets. Then they kill you. They take your human form and steal it. Yeah, that would be a pretty good short story. So the one that takes place in the South Pacific. I don't know how long it's going to take me to write. I work on a little bit each night, maybe like one scene at a time. If and but there's definitely writing contests, and there is a huge void in new, original, creative ideas. Think about it. If you could write the next Harry Potter, I don't need to be a billionaire. I don't need J.K. Rowling money, but it's just yeah, there is ideas here. And I think the other good thing about submitting your work into contests is nobody could steal your work and plagiarize you because you have proof that you own it. It's like here, it was submitted to this contest. Yes, I do own the work. There's been a lot of people in Hollywood that have flat out stolen ideas. No, I don't know. My short story could make for a pretty. You could make a movie out of it, but that's not the intention. It's more just to be. So it takes place in my world. I'm building a mall deck, but it takes place in modern times in the late 1940s in the South Pacific Ocean, and it involves some ancient ruins. That's all I'm saying for now. Sound interesting? Then for Halloween, yes, I do want to write a story about some type of short story about demonology. I'll think of something good, and it could be, I think it'll help me a lot if I'm able to write some short stories and share them with people. It gives me something, yeah, make me feel good, I guess, right? Has anyone else written short stories? I'd be curious. Leave me a comment. Or does anyone have experience with entering contests? This is over at Reedsy, but I found other ones also. There's a bunch of them. Anyway, yeah, YouTubers beware. They're coming for you. Yeah, I don't. There's no coincidences. A lot of people are getting attacked on YouTube right now. And then we got the debate tomorrow. I'm watching that. Yeah, that debate. Watching it. Yeah, I think that's all I want to say. I'm not going to say anymore, especially when it comes to politics. Look at them right now. This one person lost their YouTube channel because they were saying, look, I'm saying this right now. I couldn't even read that story. It was something that was going on with people's pets in Ohio. I feed outdoor cats. I have pet cats. Everyone knows that. A lot of Americans, like me, we look at pets as our children. And when you look, the truth is, when you import the third world, you get the third world. When you import the third world that is heavily involved in Santeria and black magic, there was a story about the rise of they're finding not human, animal sacrifices being done up in Bronx, New York, too. With some of the, yeah, it's not going to end well for them. They're, and we have them here in Philly. Yeah, we got all kinds of diverse people now. For Philly, my city for the longest time was basically Puerto Rican and Dominican. In the past few months and weeks, it's gotten quite interesting. That's all I'm saying. Um, yeah, so be careful out there. The other thing we have, not really to look forward to, but when is the 1 year anniversary attack that happened on Israel? October 7th. Yeah, think about that date. We have 9/11 in 2 days, but I don't think anything's going to happen on 9/11. I don't know, unless something crazy happens at the debate tomorrow, and they, who knows? Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna write some short stories, interesting ones, and I think with my knowledge of the occult and different various mythological topics, I think it does help a lot, especially when an author knows, when you can make stuff seem more realistic, I would say. I mean, you watch a lot of horror movies, right? Like some horror movies, you're just like this magic's some bullshit. And then other horror movies I watch, and I'm like, I think the person who wrote this script has some very disturbing insider knowledge of how things are actually done in the occult. And those are the movies that usually resonate with me. And, so if I'm basing a science fiction fantasy story that takes place on Maldeck, um, maybe it resonates with people, right? We'll see. Anyway, if you could support the channel, I'd greatly appreciate it. All the money goes ad free. I think YouTube's going to be attacking my channel. Remember, because I'm on my 10th channel, I only got 1,603 subs right now. I lost a few subs. The other day I had 1,605 subs. Oh. Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry about the audio on that video. I was on my condenser mic, and I had the air conditioner on in the background, and I realized it, and then I was like, oh, this video's over an hour long. I don't want to have to re-record it. But It wasn't too bad. I was just defending why they're not lizard people because they are associated to the Tuatara, which is a older ancient serpent species that the native Terrans are related to. And there's a reason why I'm going, through these topics right now. One, for writing my reptilian book, but two, yet kind of going off on this other endeavor. I have some talent. I might as well put some use to it. I need to think about my future. Yeah, I'm still gonna write a book about reptilians, but that's just to cover like my research and all that. But I still do want to write some other stories, short stories. Who knows? Maybe I sell Hollywood a script one day. I have an idea for a movie, alien movie. I think Hollywood would lose their shit over it because it involves an alien species coming to Earth and making our weapons unoperable. And the reason I wrote it like that, and I went over this with a buddy, I said, because of the craze of wanting to disarm all the Americans and guns are bad. But the story is not what you think. It doesn't end how you think. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm going to write that story too. That might be a script I can sell to Hollywood. Oh, wow. That's yeah. Well, don't get too excited. The story's not exactly what you might think. Um, I even got that idea from I forget what science fiction story it was. Maybe it was a TV show I was watching, either Farscape or, I don't know. They were on a planet where their firearms were not operating. And I said, well, that's a pretty cool idea for a story. But what if it happened this way? And this is why. So, anyway, hope everyone's doing good. We got about 2 more months of craziness. Actually, who knows how long. These people will not go quietly in the night. And all the all the people out there whose stuff is failing, all the journalists, all the news anchors, they're probably striking your channel too. In Hollywood, look, they're all attacking content creators. They're being vindictive now because their woke messaging has failed. They've gone bankrupt. Nobody wants to deal with them. And now they're throwing temper tantrums and trying to get people thrown off YouTube because they don't want to see the patriarchy winning or whatever. Yeah. But I see some light at the end of the rainbow. There is a huge creative void right now for original new science fiction and fantasy stories. Believe that. And because we don't know if George R. R. Martin's ever going to finish the Game of Thrones, I'm going to have to write a sci-fi epic fantasy book now. Anyway, any questions or comments, leave them below. If you can support the channel, all the links are in the description. Kalina, if you're listening, I'll send you an email. Do you want to, she volunteered to do some editing with me, I think. So, look, I'll send you an email, but as I write the scenes, because the scenes won't be too long, because, like I said, 7 scenes, maybe I'll send you some so you can read them before I publish it. It's all, we'll see. And when I do write these short stories, I probably more than likely will make them available to people. I could share digital media on Patreon. And, so we'll see. That's the other thing. This is the other reason why I want to write short stories. I got to teach myself how to publish. Because I'm going to be self-publishing my reptilian book. So it's a good way for me to learn how to use all the software I have, how to convert things to PDF files or e-tablet files or this or that or for a Kindle or I think you just get the idea. So practice makes me perfect. That's what I did when I learned how to make videos on YouTube. So anyway, Questions or comments, leave them below. God bless and take care.